Hey everyone, welcome back to L2Games. It's Nick here. Today I am joined by Ryan, and we're going to be talking about Apex Legends Season 15. We've had the season out for a couple weeks now, so we've got a chance to play the new map, play Catalyst. So we're going to break it down for you guys, give our thoughts and impressions on the newest season of Apex Legends. Ryan, what do you think of Season 15 so far?
Thanks for having me back on, Nick. It's a pleasure. I think the season overall, it's been pretty fun. Like, the Catalyst is a fun legend. I personally haven't enjoyed the last few legends they've added to the game, like Vantage, Newcastle, Mad Maggie. I never really played any of them, so them adding Catalyst has been a good addition. She's got a good ultimate. She's got a good tactical. She's been a good addition. What do you think?
Yeah, I was going to say, it's a bit of a refresher season for me. I definitely didn't play a whole lot of Vantage, didn't really play Newcastle either. I played a bit of Mad Maggie, but I took a break around midway through Season 12, so yeah, getting back into it, Catalyst seems like she's going to have a pretty big role in the ranked meta. I mean, I haven't played a ton of ranked recently, but on that note, I want to get into Catalyst a little more because you've played her quite a bit. So, what are your thoughts on her and her kit?
Yeah, I think she's pretty good. Like, just building off of what you're saying about the kind of the ranked meta. I know, like, we went pretty hard at ranked there. I think season 10, 11. After that, we took a pretty significant break. But I was thinking about that earlier, and I think if you got back into like platinum, well, not really platinum, but like diamond level, masters level gameplay, I'm pretty sure the main three you would still be using is Bloodhound, Valkyrie, and then Horizon, right? I think that's the main three you would be utilizing, even Bloodhound over Seer, just because of how vertical the new map is. Like, Broken Moon is very vertical, especially the main points of interest. There's you're up and down all the time. So I don't know how much she fits into the kind of the ranked meta overall. I like her ultimate is pretty good if you really learned how to section off fights. I think that would be really good in ranked play. But I still think those other three legends would be the main three you would go to. Do you agree, or?
I don't know. I'm interested to see how Catalyst plays in ranked as we go a little further down the line and see, if pro teams start picking her a little bit. Just because she's got a lot of interesting area denial techniques. Her door blocking passive is already one of the most frustrating things to come up against. I mean, I love being able to push in a door and go back out and move in and out of buildings quickly, so to not be able to open doors at all is already a frustrating thing, and I feel like that could be comboed pretty well with something like a Caustic and his gas traps, or even Watson. So she just adds a new layer to area denial, and then her ults, I mean, it's not as much of an area denial thing as some other abilities, but it kind of creates like a choice for enemy teams. It's either, do you risk pushing through it and blinding yourself and trying to get some shots on the other team, or do you hang back and play one side of the wall?
Yeah, there's definitely a couple different like setups you could go for, right? So yeah, I was watching a bit of the ALGS, just the different, because they play 6 games, right? 3 on World's Edge, or Stormpoint, sorry, and then 3 on World's Edge. And I saw a lot of Watson now, so I think that's kind of been the difference. Not as much Gibby anymore. So yeah, like you're saying, maybe a Catalyst, Watson, Caustic. As boring as that might sound as a trio, it would still get it. It would still get it done in comparison to a Bloodhound, Valkyrie, and Horizon.
Yeah. I've been pretty surprised with Catalyst in that her tactical ability doesn't really seem to be as useful as the other abilities. I thought it was going to be a lot more oppressive, being able to drop spikes into the ground and slow down other players. And I really haven't found that it's been that hard to kill with.
Rectangular, right? Like, when you throw it somewhere, you feel like it should spread out more, like, in your direction. But it's almost like a rectangular box, and like, that's just the weird part about it, is how stretched out it is. I think that's the part that's kind of frustrating with it.
Yeah, it's stretched out, and the other thing too is how easy it is to destroy. I was expecting it to be a lot more difficult, Like, just going off the patch notes, they say, you have to be close enough to destroy the core. And when I read that, I thought, well, that's great, because I'm going to have to walk right up to this fucking thing to actually, shoot it out. But it's really not that difficult to deal with.
Yeah, yeah. Even when it pops up in the middle, right? It's just it doesn't take very long to shoot out for sure.
Yeah. I think another way Catalyst kind of shifts the meta is in what kind of legends people are picking. Because I think with her passive ability, it's making characters like Rampart and Fuse especially a lot more important. And even Mad Maggie, because of their ability to, like with Fuse's Knuckle Cluster, to shoot down a door.
Yeah, more focus on the door play, which I've never really got too good at. When you stand there against somebody, they're on the other side, you kind of battle for it. Mm-hmm. That is something that you find that you see in like the Diamond gameplay, that the people are very good at manipulating the door, using it to their advantage, and that's something that I just never really, like, just coming from Call of Duty and stuff.
To be honest, I've struggled.
Call of Duty now, but
yeah, I've struggled with that too, though. Like, I always find that I'm positioning myself on a door, and somehow people are still like sliding through it and getting the other side. And I'm like, how the fuck? Meanwhile, I come up to a door and try to open it, and it just won't budge.
You know what I thought it might be is everyone, like, I feel like a lot of these players at that level, like Diamond isn't too crazy. I know I keep talking about Diamond, but it is definitely like a top quartile of all of the players, maybe like more, right? Wasn't it like approximately? I forgot what it was back to season 10, 11 when we were really.
Yeah, I think season 10 it was like top 5% for Diamond, and then I think season 11 it was a little smaller. I think it was like 2.8%, and then
that makes us feel even better. So the point being is just like you go up against someone at a door. I feel like a lot of these guys or guys and girls are using scuffs. I think that's kind of a difference. Having all those back triggers. You can kind of move around the door a little different. Just like I think that might be something to do with it. But
that's definitely possible. All right, well, shifting focus now to the new map. What do you think so far? Because I was really excited for Broken Moon. It leaked way back. I think it was mid-season 12. It might have been earlier than that when we had that huge leak that was like seasons 13 to 16. And Broken Moon leaked, and it was looking like it was going to be kind of an Olympus 2.0. So maybe it's a little bit unfair of me to take this position, but I'm kind of disappointed by it. And I don't know, I want to get your thoughts on the new map and how you feel about playing on it.
Yeah, I could see where there's some disappointment. I don't know, if we just start with like the way it plays, the way it looks, like just a feeling you get on the map, it's got to be an 8 or 9 out of 10 for me, I guess, compared to the other maps. Like it's just a very cool place to exist and play on. I personally really like Storm Point, like I've said to you before in our friends in our chat there. I think that's the best map out of the 5.
Yeah. And I know that might ruffle a few feathers for some people because I know a lot of people really don't like the size of Storm Point, but it's a nice looking map, and I have fun playing on it too.
As far as just appearance, and like I just love the way it looks. It reminds me of just pure North Shore, Oahu, Hawaii to me. So it's a pretty big thing. But yeah, I get the negatives to it. It's a little large, and then the pubs are a little boring. But yeah, back to Broken Moon. I like how it looks, right? So I think that's where I'll start with it and kind of toss it over to you. I think it just looks great. It reminds me of Horizon Zero Dawn. It kind of plays like that, sort of areas of that game. If any of the viewers ever played that game, I think a lot of people have, but I don't know. What do you think?
Yeah, I definitely get those Horizon vibe. Yeah, I get the Horizon vibes from it. It's a really good looking map. Right? Like the POIs are really, really cool. I think it has that really, terraforming moon sci-fi feel to it. I think my disappointment kind of stems from the fact that I was hoping it would be just a little tighter and a little more condensed. Kind of like Olympus, where it's got all these modular POIs and it's easy to rotate from one to the other. I think the biggest difficulty for me with Broken Moon has just been the rotations, especially because of how high all of the canyon walls are on it. You're basically forced to rotate to each POI kind of blind and along a pretty narrow corridor. So it sort of forces you in a direction that isn't super direct to the next POI. And I mean, they kind of alleviate that with the zip rails. The other thing, I mean, it's not entirely negative. I really do love the outside POIs. I think those are really cool spots. I kind of wish they were a little closer to the middle of the map, just because it's, as much as the zip rails, I know they're supposed to be there to kind of connect those POIs to where all of the action is happening. It just feels like, I don't know, sometimes the zip rails are a little inaccessible, so they don't feel as connected as I think they should be.
And it feels like, right, the reason the walling is so strong is because they really want people to take advantage of these new zip rails, right? Like that's, I think they almost put it into too much of a focus with the new map is the emphasis on the zip rails. Like I get that it's cool and you're moving fast, but how important is it really? Like it kind of, like, yeah, I definitely agree that just the walling is a little too much.
Yeah, I'm just not used to using zip rails and zip lines to get around that regularly. And, you know, I kind of want to just walk from one POI to another, especially with how open the zip rails are. Like, I don't want to come around a corner blindly and all of a sudden, you know, I'm landing on top of a team and getting team shot and downed in half a second.
Yeah, so yeah, that's definitely a negative to it. It looks cool though, which is a positive.
Yeah, and there's a lot of really cool POIs. Terraformer, Core are really cool. Even like the Bionomics, the Atmo Station. It's a lot of really cool and big looking POIs, which at first I thought was going to be really healthy for the map, because I figured people would kind of split off and drop at each POI because they're so, you know, unique looking.
These are all cool, yeah.
Yeah, I feel like
no,
though
Terraformer just took over.
Yeah, it's definitely been a case of like all the action now is either at Terraformer or Promenade, which I mean, I kind of like, you know, Terraformer's nice and big, so there's plenty of spots you can drop and, you know, have a hot drop without dying instantly. Promenade is just a shit show though.
Yeah, because it's so central, so close to everything. It feels like every game we've played. Well, it hasn't been. It's been a few nights, but like you feel like you're always ending up there. There's always 3 or 4 teams, and they're always showing up quickly because of the zip rails. I just hope it doesn't turn into another World's Edge where just because mainly what we've been doing, right, is just playing pubs. Like we said before, we're not really back playing, like really grinding the ranked system right now, just because of that. That's a whole nother topic. Right? It's just
yeah, thanks for those changes, Respawn.
Gameplay. Yeah, exactly. So I just hope it doesn't turn into World's Edge 2.0 where just everyone goes fragment. Like going fragment is fun, but it just, if you land anywhere else, it's just a walking simulator for about 5 to 10 minutes.
Yeah.
So let's just hope it doesn't end up like that.
Yeah, that's always been my problem with World's Edge too. Is it's not the map itself; it's the way people play the map, and you know, it's just frustrating that, you know, people want to play it like it's TDM. Like, go play arenas if that's what you're going to do.
That is an interesting topic, though, just in Apex in general, because I do really love the game, and I was thinking about this today. I think it is in my top 5-10 games ever. Like, I like it more than, and as far as Battle Royales, I think it's my favorite one ever as well, because I did really like Warzone, the first Warzone and Fortnite, but, like, this game is just different. It's so tactical, there's so many different ways to play it, and just getting back to my point is that you have 5 maps, and they all play completely different depending on if you're playing a public match or if you're in ranked play. And the biggest differential with that is, I think I don't know if you agree, but it has to be World's Edge, because I remember we played one split on that map, and it was I know I got tired of it at the end, but it was really fun. Like it played almost perfectly, I think, for how you want ranked to be. It like limited, like there were still third parties, but it was pretty limited overall. And it was just very fun. So that's kind of another interesting wrinkle in the whole Apex scene, is just how different these maps play from public match to ranked. Yeah.
Yeah, no, I totally agree, especially with World's Edge. You know, some areas are those open, wide open fields, so you can kind of see people rotating in from different POIs and sort of position yourself. There aren't too many choke points, but there are some, like, you know, the tunnel between Landslide and Fragment, or even over by Big Mod and Lava Siphon, there's that other big cave with the vault. And so there are a few choke points and a few of those things that people don't like about map design in there, but there's also plenty of wide open space and a lot of interesting POIs. It's just that as soon as you take it into a pubs match, everyone wants to drop at the same building, and it just devolves into that. So that's my biggest worry for Broken Moon, is that it's going to turn into that. I've already noticed so far that it kind of feels just like, it's third-party central. I was really hoping that wouldn't be the case, but because you're rotating blind pretty much, it's, you hear a gunshot and it's like, okay, well, I guess that's where I'm going now. And, you and every other team on the map heard the same gunshots, so that's where you end up. So do you have a favorite POI so far with Broken Moon?
As far as POIs, I think core is my favorite. I like just the setup of that, core area, but also the buildings on the right side, the east side. I feel like they're a very good place. There's enough chests to start off and get looted up, and then I just like that right side. I feel like it's a good starting point. And you always kind of with each map. I know we have our favorite spots, and I'm sure any viewers that have played the game, you all have your sort of mindset when you go in that, oh, we can start in these 3 or 4 places, and you kind of have a picture of how you're going to rotate and everything, obviously. And yeah, I think core is my favorite, starting on that right side, seeing who's fighting in the core area of that POI, and then going from there, right? How about you?
Oh, I was gonna say core is absolutely my favorite by far. It's got a nice size to it. There's plenty of stuff going on, so there's lots of chests around. You can get geared up, but it's also spread out enough that you aren't instantly dropping into a fight, even if it is kind of a hot drop. It's not like Terraformer where everyone's dropping there, going straight to the middle and just gunning each other down. So it's got a good balance to it. It's a really cool looking spot too. It's got that turbine in the middle that I really love. So.
And then my other favorite, Nick, would be Eternal Guard. I just love the look of it.
I feel like that one has been underused to this point, and it's a shame because they've got all that stained glass stuff around it, the one jump tower on the map too. Yeah, I wish that one was.
The point of more of the POIs on the outside, but I think that also speaks to the quality of the map overall. That even if the outer POIs are just as good as the ones that are made to be in the center, right? I feel like on Storm Point, and then I'm kind of thinking on Olympus as well, the outside ones sometimes aren't as great. I feel like the developers obviously are putting the main ones in the more central area. But yeah, I agree. I guess Eternal Gardens is another favorite of mine to go with core, yeah, those two for sure. Hey?
I mean, I liked Bionomics at the start, but it just feels like that, and there's the other one that kind of looks like it. I can't remember what it's called, but it feels like they've kind of died down in popularity lately, so it's just not as much fun to drop there. I mean, I don't know about you, but I want to get these games started and get into the action right away, so, it's...
Yeah, and then that's everyone's always a Terraformer, and
yeah,
you can kind of see how the patterns
start. Mm-hmm. I mean, I'm interested to see how it plays in ranked for sure, and I think maybe I'll like it a little more the more we play ranked. But I think for pubs, I'm still just, I'm a little disappointed by it. And again, I think maybe that I'm being a bit unfair just because the hype was being built up for so long after that huge leak. So I've had high expectations for it. I also kind of just got sick of maps like World's Edge and Kings Canyon, so basically I was really just enjoying Olympus and Storm Point, and for the last couple seasons Olympus has been out of the rotation, so there hasn't been a lot of opportunity to play on a map I've really enjoyed. So yeah. I'm happy that there is a new map. I'm happy we have 5 maps now, and maybe as the seasons go on, every season they seem to add new things to each map, so I'm hoping that some of the additions to Broken Moon give it a little bit more of a lively feel and maybe open it up a little more. Because right now, I think it's a map where you aren't going to see a ton of high kill games. Like, my highest on the map now is 15, and I mean, I'm sure there's other people who've dropped 20 bombs and stuff on it. I'm not going to say that it's not possible, but it just feels like it's not a map where that's going to happen unless you're landing Terraformer or Promenade, and that's, kind of calls to mind World's Edge, and if you want to drop a 20 bomb on World's Edge, you got to land Fragment. But I mean, I don't want to say I hate the map. I do like it, and I appreciate the effort that went into it. It does a lot of cool things. I love the idea of the zip rails. I wish they were a little more accessible and a little tighter together, but I do like the map.
Me too. It's not passing Storm Point for me. It's still kind of right there with Olympus.
Yeah.
Um,
On that note, you did send in our group chat a while back your ranking of all the maps, so let's hear it just one more time.
Yeah, so Storm Point number 1. Talked about that already.
Mm-hmm.
We'll put Broken Moon number 2 still, but I do feel like the more I talk about it, the later it goes, the more we play it, that it's probably just a bit of recency bias going on there. It'll probably slip to number 3, but for now, let's leave it at number 2. Just
Okay.
the overall look, the Horizon Zero Dawn feel. So yeah, and then number 3, we got Olympus for sure. I like the sci-fi design as well. It plays pretty fun in pubs. I don't think I ever played it in ranked, so I don't really have an opinion that way. So Olympus for sure number 3, and then there's a drop off to World's Edge number 4, which is okay. And we talked about how it plays good in ranked. And then, like I said in the group chat, Kings Canyon number 5, and I just think it's bad overall. I know it's the original map. It served its purpose. They keep bringing it back, right, Nick? They keep bringing it back every season, trying to keep it in the rotation. But I think it's time they just let it kind of sail off into the sunset. Just give it a like I think they have for this season, right? So it needs a break for sure.
Yeah. All right, I'm gonna go worst to best. I'm gonna say worst World's Edge, mainly because I've just been playing so much pubs lately, and it's just such a boring map when everyone just goes Fragment. On top of that, some of the POIs like Lava Siphon and I can't remember what the one way up north past Epicenter is called, but
Dome?
North end of the map. It's the one that looks exactly like Lava Siphon, and that's my big problem with it. Is they're just the exact same POI. I mean, the middle's different, but whatever. Just get rid of one of them. And then just the way everyone plays the map, dropping at Fragment. I don't want to play Loot Simulator 2022. So I really would rather, not play World's Edge at all at this point. Number 4, Kings Canyon. I don't actually hate it all that much. I know a lot of people hate that there's so many choke points on it, and a lot of the POIs are kind of bland, but bringing back Skulltown was a big plus for me, so I've enjoyed that part of it. I love the north end of that map with the ship crash. Number 3, I don't know, it's tight for me. I've got to say probably Broken Moon at 3, just because, again, with how big it feels and how hard it is to get around, it's a good-looking map. There's a lot of cool POIs, but, getting around and rotating through these narrow corridors, it just feels like there's not as much of an opportunity for high-kill games. Number 2, Storm Point. Love the tropical vibes. The skybox is really cool. I know that's not really, something that affects the map at all, but I like looking at it. And, I mean, with the gravity cannons, being able to get around like that, again, something that is a lot of fun. I think the biggest problem with Storm Point is that so many of the POIs are just underused. Like, I don't know that I've ever seen a game finish on the northeast end of the map near Lightning Rod. I don't think that's ever happened in the history of that map, which that's nobody's fault except the devs for not having the circle ever finish there. But
you're talking public games, right? For sure.
Yeah.
The Northeast.
Yeah. And then number 1, obviously Olympus. I love the vibe of that. I love the whole city in the sky sci-fi feel of it. The POIs are nice and balanced as far as the spacing between each of them goes, so you're never too far from another fight, but you've got enough room to breathe.
You know what actually Olympus reminds me kind of is that Snowpiercer show. Have you ever watched that?
No, I've never seen that.
Oh, it's on Netflix. I don't know why whenever I'm on that, it just gives me Snowpiercer vibes. I don't know if any of the viewers have seen that show before. It is pretty good. There's been 3 seasons. That's kind of like the sci-fi vibe, I know there's in Snowpiercer there's just snow everywhere and they're going around on a train, but for some reason my brain's always thinking that show when I'm playing it. But yeah, I agree. It's just it's a good map. They did a
Hmm.
really good job
Yeah.
with that design for sure.
That kind of gets me thinking. I would love to see a map that's mostly snow. I know we've got a bit of snow on World's Edge, but I think a snow map would be fun for Apex.
Yeah, I always like snow maps. Like, and what I'm thinking here is just whenever I think of like Call of Duty maps in the past, like I know Black Ops 1, there was one snow map that was really fun. But yeah, I don't know. There's something about, I guess, just because of the certain part of Canada that we both grew up. It's just kind of one of those things. You kind of like the snow vibe, I guess.
I was gonna say maybe that's the Canadian in us talking, but
Yeah, for sure.
I don't know. I like the snow vibe. Um, so the last thing I want to talk about with Apex Season 15 is not something that we did get this season, but something we didn't get because this is, I think, the third or fourth season in a row now. Yeah, fourth season in a row now where we haven't gotten a new weapon. And I mean, up until then, it was pretty consistent. I think season 5 and season 7 there was no new weapon, but every other season besides those they introduced a new gun, and we haven't gotten anything since the car in season 11. So, what do you think about that? Because I know we've seen leaks of this Nemesis energy assault rifle,
Yeah.
and I mean, it looks like a pretty cool weapon, but I don't know if it's been scrapped or they just don't feel like adding it anymore. So, I don't know. What do you think about that?
I didn't realize it had been so long since the car came in, which for me is definitely my favorite gun in the whole game. I just love it. I love well, it's a submachine gun, obviously. I like that you can use both light mag, heavy mag, both ammos. It's such a good weapon. I use it all the time. I think as far as they should add another. Like it's been a while. They added laser sights, which didn't add anything to the game at all.
Mm-hmm.
You know what they should add though, Nick? They should add a sniper. That kind of resembles like a Car 98. Like right off bat, right? That would
Yeah.
be so fun. Because you know what, where this game kind of lacks, and there's not a lot of areas. Because overall, I think it's a great game.
Mm-hmm.
Just the sniping
The sniping
in
for
the
sure.
game to game.
Yeah.
Like I like the Sentinel, but a lot of the sniping it doesn't play well, and I that's always been one of those things for me is that I always like sniping in games, and for some reason, well, not for some reason, just Apex, it's not a priority for them. I don't think.
Yeah. Well, and especially being controller players, I think it's harder for us to snipe because I think it's harder to adjust for things like bullet drop and the bullet velocity. But yeah, it's so satisfying, especially like in COD, to just hit a really nice snipe. Just
Yeah,
a nice long distance snipe. No one had any idea you were looking at them. They're just dropped instantly. And yeah, that is something that's definitely missing from Apex. Like, I've never had any interest in really sniping. The only time I bother with snipers, I feel, is if I find a Kraber. And that's never so much for like the fact that I like the Kraber as much as it is the fact that I don't want someone else having a Kraber and shooting me with it. So I'd rather just take it.
exactly.
But yeah, it just
And like
doesn't seem.
I don't really count the Kraber just because of how little I think game time I've had with it.
No,
It
that's
feels
true.
like how little that it feels like it has an impact on the game to game, right? Like
Mm-hmm.
and when you think of like the charge rifle, the longbow, like I do like the Sentinel just because of the noise and the design of it, but they're all not great. Like it's tough to really. I know some nights I'll pick the Sentinel up consistently to support the car and just
Mm-hmm.
try and get a couple hot shot plays going. But yeah, it's definitely an area that they could improve on. But
Yeah.
I don't really know if it would ever be a focus for them adding a sniper that's more of a marksman rifle.
Yeah, especially
That would be
considering
my
that they're not too keen on adding any other weapons right now, it seems. Like, I get the point, like, a lot of people have made that adding another weapon would just dilute the loot pool. But at the same time, they added something stupid like laser sights that's already diluting the loot pool. And half the time I'm using an SMG, I don't even bother picking them up because I just forget they're there. And they really don't feel that useful. Like, they're supposed to reduce your hip fire spread, and I genuinely do not feel like they actually do that. So I would have much rather seen a new weapon, especially knowing that they've got one designed. But like I understand where the concern comes from about, having to add a weapon every season. And of course there's the weapon balance issues too. Like I feel in general like Apex is pretty balanced overall, but every now and then they just come in and make a change to a weapon that completely fucks up its viability for pretty much no reason. Like last season, the triple take was just awful because they dropped its rate of fire for no reason. The EVA 8 was unusable. And now this season, all of a sudden, they're useful again.
I think they do that just to keep people engaged, keep them coming back, right? I think that isn't that always the goal in these games is to, you change up the loot pool, you make sure that you have that rotation within to make sure that people are using different guns, they're feeling interested, and right. I think that's kind of just the general reason that's always happening, right?
Yeah.
I know this season the triple take is back. I picked it up a few times and it's pretty good.
Oh yeah, I've been loving the triple take this season. That was always my go-to ranked weapon, and it's nice to
Yeah.
see that it's actually usable again. But yeah, to your point about engagement, I mean, I think that's always going to be a priority in any live service game. And I mean, I don't know if this was on Discord or if it was on Twitter or something, but I was reading something about one of the devs coming out and saying that there is somewhat of a skill-based matchmaking implemented in pubs. And I know this is kind of off topic, but the whole reasoning behind it was that they found that player engagement was higher with skill-based matchmaking because more casual players are willing to stick around. So, yeah, obviously engagement is going to be a huge priority for them, and those balance tweaks are inevitably going to happen because, of course, if you're not doing anything with the game, it's going to get stale. But I think I would rather see them bring in a new weapon than anything instead of diluting the loot pool with useless shit like laser sights.
Oh, for sure. Like if you have a Volt, any one of the subs, and you have no laser on it versus a purple one, I don't think I could tell you what the difference is. Like I don't really feel any difference.
Yeah, no.
Right? Like there should be some sizable difference.
Yeah, no, I wouldn't notice.
Yeah. So oh yeah. So you didn't tell everybody what your go-to kind of loadout has been so far this season.
Oh yeah,
What
yeah.
have you
So
been
far for
picking up
me,
recently?
I feel like I've been going R301 and triple take. I mean, the R301 is always kind of just the staple of Apex. I never pass up on R301 if I can avoid it. I've been picking up the car a bit. I've actually kind of strayed away from the flatline. I don't know if you found this lately, but I find that the flatline just feels super inaccurate lately. I don't know if that's just me and I've gotten worse at the game, which is entirely possible, but I don't know.
No,
But
you just dropped to 15. You can't. You're not getting worse. I don't know. The flatline, like I know what you're saying. The R301 is a staple. That thing, I didn't used to pick it up as much, but once you really learn that recoil pattern, that thing is for sure the best AR in the game.
yeah.
The flatline has always been kind of iffy for me. I don't really understand the recoil of it. You kind of have to like jiggle your controller when you're trying to aim with it
Yeah.
at longer ranges. So I feel like they kind of like, yeah, definitely recently it feels like it's even harder. Like I don't pick it up very often at all, really.
All right, well, I think that's going to do it for us today. Thanks for coming on, Ryan, and talking about Apex Legends Season 15. I'm looking forward to the rest of the season. I don't know about you, but I think there's a lot of cool stuff coming up. We've got a collection event coming in a couple of weeks, a lot of other cool things happening around Apex, so I'm excited to see where it goes, and hopefully this season is kind of the refresher that the game needed. I know it hasn't been in a great state the last few seasons, but I think they're starting to get it back on the right track.
Yeah. No, thanks for having me on, Nick. Always a pleasure.
All right, we'll see you guys in the next one.